So my interest in food is, well, it's complex and it really encompasses a lot of areas of my life. I've always just been a food geek. When I travel, I'm the person who holds everybody up because the first place I want to visit is the market or the grocery store. So I just have always had, as a foodie, an interest in food. But beyond that, I discovered some food sensitivities, and so really began to learn a lot more about our food system and the issues it can cause in terms of health.
I'm very concerned about food issues. 3 years ago during Snowmageddon, the big blizzard, I woke up with joint pain, and in 3 weeks I was wrecked with joint pain all through my body, through rheumatoid arthritis. And I don't take any drugs, and I treat it totally through diet and nutrition. And that sparked my interest in food.
It's the most intimate process of your day, what you put into your body. And most people just don't even question where their food comes from. And that's because it a lot of times comes from a gross factory farm or industrial agriculture, and it's actually not this pretty pristine farm that you have in your head with cows roaming and rolling grasses.
People demand good food and you educate them, hopefully they'll get it. But the government has to do their part and not say, we want you to be healthy, we want you to exercise, we want you to eat good food, and then on the other hand go with the farm bill and policies like that and throw money at the absolute opposite thing.
What do you think of, and again you mentioned this, but slightly, but the agricultural subsidies layered within the farm bill at the moment?
I mean, I think they encourage bad food. They encourage everything that people in health say is bad for you. The processed foods, the fattening foods, the salt, the sugar, the corn, high fructose corn syrup.
I think that corn is a big issue. I think that it's great in theory that we would want to produce things cheaper and support farmers, but in reality what we're doing is supporting, one corporate entity, one boardroom, and not 20 individual family farms with these subsidies. And so I don't really see the point, of dumping cheap corn abroad and, for example, making it impossible to grow corn in Mexico, a place that's been growing corn for how many thousands of years.
So the Farm Bill, to me, is, this giant piece of legislation that should shape our food system in a way that is democratic and something that's positive for all parties involved. Unfortunately, I think that the process has been very undemocratic. And I'm aware that a lot of the agreements happen behind closed doors. Some of the provisions and riders that sneak through are not necessarily in the public's best interest, and are probably things that if the greater public knew about wouldn't slide on through.
I think we need to work together. I think we need to use less pesticides, which will help the people who eat the food. It will help the soil. It will help the environment, and we have to farm differently. We have to get corporations out of, not necessarily out of farming, but we have to get them out of policy. And I think that's part of the problem, is that corporations set policy. And they don't care what's best for people, they care what's best for their bottom line.
So I really think that reworking the Farm Bill so that it supports your small and medium-sized farms here is really one big step in the right direction in terms of creating a more just working environment, both for workers in agriculture abroad, but also here in the U.S.
As consumers and small farmers out there, we're not supposed to know about the Farm Bill because it's all these negotiations that happen behind closed doors. It's a lot of corporations coming in and sort of writing in little loopholes and making the text on the page appease what their agendas and everything. And so I think it's incredibly important for consumers to educate themselves about the Farm Bill. And I think the fact that people don't know what it is and don't really understand it is incredibly demonstrative of the problem with our food system and the fact that people are so disconnected from their food, and they just let these kinds of men behind the curtain do all the work. But I feel like it's a lot more active than that, and we need to be much more engaged.
Well, everybody eats, and I think food's really important. I think that if the food gets better, your health gets better, that saves government's money down the line. It saves people money, and it shouldn't be that only the people who have money can eat better. It's not fair, it's not right.
I think actually that what we're going to be forced into eventually, unless we choose to do something about it sooner, on our own time frame, is probably revert back to something that's more of a local regional model and try to, maybe reclaim some of the land that's been ruined by these big industrial, soy plantations or whatever, and turn them back into whatever they were used for before. I really think that we have an incredible amount of fertile land in this country, and we have a farming tradition in this country, like most places in the world.
People talk about voting with your fork, right? Enacting change through your decisions as a consumer. So I would like to think that more people now are shopping in a way that will shape the market. Farmers markets, I think, have almost tripled in the past 10 years, the number of farmers markets. Alternative food networks, as they call them, are springing up. So you've got CSAs and all sorts of other arrangements. And more people are starting to grow their own food. So as a consumer, I think we've got a responsibility to purchase in a certain way.